They are folks, in fact, let me just jump down to this chart here, which is going to give us a actual visual view of this. The red price zone here, this is actually all of the short-term holders. 155 days ago, we're essentially at the local low that we had back in September. It has been up only more or less ever since, with the exception of our correction, which we'll touch on shortly. So in order for anybody within this trend, given that we are now punched to new highs, for anybody within this trend to be in a loss, they would have had to either buy this local high and sold during the sell the news correction. There's basically nobody else in the short-term holder cohort that can be in loss. So that is why it's really important to focus on the short-term holders, because you're looking for local top buyers, and in particular, people who just jumped in at the wrong time. You're looking for that impulse of FOMO, which was then essentially rewarded with a price correction. And the exact same works in a bear market as well. You're looking for people who recently bought and are essentially panicking as the market trades down below them. So just coming back to this, if we just zoom across, there's only been 141 trading days in all of Bitcoin's history that has a price point higher than 50,000. It's about 2.8% of Bitcoin's trading history. So we really are talking about relatively thin air up here. On a grand scheme of things, there just haven't been that many trading days at this level. And what is quite interesting, here in the blue chart, we have our long-term holder supply. Now, back in 2021, we had a report called Following the Smart Money, which you'll find on our Insights page. And this really explored how long-term holders tend to ramp up their spending as we break all-time high. I'm going to zoom this one out on a 5-year chart. As we broke up to the 20,000 all-time high, we were in the process of and then accelerating long-term holder spending. Long-term supply decreases, short-term supply increases, and you get a transferring from old hands to new hands. Generally speaking, that occurs at higher prices. So you've got fewer hodlers, more new buyers with a much higher cost basis. The risk profile of the market goes up. Now let's just zoom in, because remember that GBTC is an important element to this whole story, has been for a very long time. It amassed about 661,000 Bitcoin during that 2021 run-up. Now, of that lot, those coins will be classified as long-term holders because we don't include those ETF products in our exchange bucket. So therefore, it will be in the long-term holder supply. So this little green trace that you can see here is essentially long-term holder supply excluding GBTC, because we know when those coins that are outflowing from GBTC, they are going to be going from long-term to short-term holder status. So let's remove those and try and assess how much long-term holder spending has actually happened by investors, excluding GBTC. So I'm measuring actually from this November or December peak that we had here, the all-time high in long-term supply, which is just shy of 15 million coins. So between this peak and this green curve, which is essentially removing, pretending that GBTC is still long-term holder status, there's been about 148,000 BTC moved by long-term holders. These are investors. So about 148,000 Bitcoin have been spent by investors, and there's another 151,000 coming out of GBTC. So it's about a 50-50 split. So what we can kind of see there is about 50% of all of the long-term holder coins that have moved with GBTC, the other 50% were investors. Now, some of those investors may be taking profits now they've had such a fantastic year, both last year and this year thus far. There's also people who may just be opting for the ETF products. There may be some who want to rebalance for some custody diversification or for any other reason. There is likely to be a number of reasons why these coins are moving. So what we're really paying attention to, I think moving forward, A, is just to contextualize what's going on, but B, to see whether this long-term supply starts to cool down and start to trend higher again, because that would be somewhat of an anomaly. Actually, it would show a very, very high degree of conviction. What we would actually expect to see based on prior cycles is long-term supply will probably start to decrease and move down as profits are taken. This will tell us something about the inflowing demand, because for every seller, there is a buyer. And we can also look at things like realized profit, realized loss, capital flows, these types of things.